Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and happy summer. Just picture this. You are laying out at the beach. The sun is shining, the UV is high, the skies are blue, not a cloud in sight. What sounds better than having the perfect summery beach read with you? If you've seen any of my previous videos, you will know I am very much a seasonal reader. I love to match the atmosphere and theme of what I'm reading to whatever is happening in real life and match the season that I'm in. So I'm going to go through the ones that I think are just perfect for this time of year. When I think summer, I think of the romance genre, but I did throw in a couple of others in here. I'm going to start with the romance books and then we will move into some other genres if you feel like switching it up. Now, you probably know of Emily Henry already, but she has the blueprint for the perfect romances, in my opinion. There is always an element of women's fiction incorporated into them, and it's not just solely about the romance, but it is usually like a perfect balance between the romance and whatever the female main character is going through or trying to figure out in her life. First, we have Beach Read, and this one is about two writers who are neighboring beach houses, and they are both having writer's block. So they come up with a plan to get themselves out of their creative ruts. Next, we have People We Meet on Vacation. This one is the friends to lovers trope done perfectly, in my opinion. It's about Poppy and Alex, who are best friends, and they've always gone on trips during the summer together as a tradition. They have a falling out of sorts. It's not a spoiler, it's in the synopsis, and they go on another vacation to try to make things right. Next, we have Happy Place, and this one is about Harriet and Wynne, who were engaged and they end up breaking up, but they don't tell their friends that they have broken up. So when they go on a trip all together, they basically have to fake still being together. I love this book because it not only explores navigating the dynamics of a strained relationship, but it focuses a lot on the friend group and the dynamics of that too, which I think is such a huge part of it and makes this so much more relatable than just a standard romance where you are focusing mainly on the two characters falling in love. Then we have Funny Story, which is even more of a true fake dating trope. Happy Place is not really intentional fake dating. It's more like just trying to hide the truth from their friend group. But this one, they hatch a plan to fake date. It is about Miles and Daphne, who both get broken up with, and she was actually engaged. He was in a relationship. The fiance she had ends up getting with his girlfriend that broke up with him. Very chaotic and unhinged, but perfect opportunity for them to make them jealous with fake dating. And I just remember Miles being the king of acts of service, which is my love language, like number one. I love this book so much. I need you all to go read it so we can gush over it together. Next, we have Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. I feel like this is a controversial one because it is an age gap romance. It is between Maya and Connor, who have known each other for a little while and basically started out as friends, but then, of course, feelings started to develop, and they are both in Italy, I want to say, for a wedding. So that is what gets them reunited. The yearning in this, top tier. It is so good. Honestly, I did not expect to love this as much as I did. I think it's the way she went about writing it. It could have gone very wrong, but it just spoke to my soul. I literally remember dancing around my house when a song came on that reminded me of them. And that's how you know it is a good read. I will say they do talk about the age gap aspect of it a lot throughout the book, and that is the only reason I didn't give it a full 5 stars. I gave it 4.75, but if that really bothers you, you might not love it as much. Next is Carly Fortune books. I've only read a couple, and I'm currently reading her most recent release, which is One Perfect Storm. But the ones I have read are actually the interconnected ones, and it is Every Summer After and One Golden Summer. I really think these are so perfect for the summertime because she is incredible at very vividly describing the the settings that always take place either around like lakes or beaches or any body of water. And when she does that, it just kind of transports you. I rated One Golden Summer 5 stars. It is such an incredible read, and I honestly am like almost tempted to reread it because it was just so good. But I am also loving One Perfect Storm, which I'm not even that far into yet, but I just think something about her writing and, like I said, the way it can transport you is so special. I feel like her writing style is kind of similar to Emily Henry, where there is usually something else going on besides the romance. Another author recommendation that I feel like you cannot go wrong with any of her books, because she is another queen of summer romances, is Annabelle Monaghan. My personal favorite by her is Same Time Next Summer, which I rated 5 stars. But we have Nora Goes Off Script, Summer Romance, and she did come out with a new release last year, which is It's a Love Story. I have it on my pile to read this year, hopefully, fingers crossed, but you will see that when I go through my summer TBR later on. Same Time Next Summer, which is my personal favorite out of all of her books, is a second chance romance. Summer romance doesn't really have a specific trope that I can remember, but it is just more of like a taking a chance on love again type of story. And Nora Goes Off Script is about a actor who is filming a movie at her house and ends up wanting to stay to take a break from his fame. I just realized Carly Fortune actually has a little blurb on the front of Annabelle Monaghan's books. So cute. Love that. And I actually feel like their writing is kind of similar. I was just about to say that she also has women's fiction elements in her books, which obviously that's a trend for me. That is one of the reasons that I end up loving a book. Now I want to go through some recommendations I have for a little subgenre of romance, and that is cowboy romances. I think the summertime is the perfect time to read these. Usually they take place in the summer, and these series, I'm going to talk about 2 different series, have the best found family in them. I think it is like one of the things that makes them stand out. So first I have the Chestnut Springs series. I actually have the other books too, but I have only read these 2. I have not finished it yet, and I fear I have forgotten everything that happened in these 2 because it's been so long. But I will get back to it. I have Flawless and Heartless. These are the 2 that I've read, and they all follow different couples, but they're interconnected, and each of them usually has different types of tropes incorporated in them. This one is about Summer, who is hired to basically clean up the reputation and image of Rhett, who is a professional bull rider. And this one is about a grumpy single dad who needs a nanny. So Willa comes in and ends up being the nanny for the summer. These are definitely fun and lighthearted, but they also have deeper emotional elements to them. I do remember shedding a tear at the end of Heartless. The other cowboy romance series I've had so much fun reading is the Rebel Blue Ranch series by Lila Sage. It is similar to Chestnut Springs, where each book follows a different couple, but they are all interconnected and within the same friend or family group. And you see bits and pieces of them throughout each of the books, which I love. First is Done and Dusted, and this one is brother's best friend trope, but I don't want you to think that the trope is the only thing that defines this book, because Emmy is the female main character in here, and she is working through trying to be accepting of having to move back home and feeling like she is taking a step back in life and regressing, and those sort of things I think are a highlight of these types of books, is seeing what the female main character is going through and trying to overcome, and seeing how they're able to do that. The next is Swift and Saddled. This one is about Wes and Ada. Ada ends up being the interior designer for Wes because he is redoing this house that they have on their property to make it a bed and breakfast. And then we have Lost and Lassoed. This one is about Teddy and Gus, and Teddy ends up helping Gus with being a nanny for his child, similar to Heartless, over the summer. So these are, again, Very, very fun to read in the summertime, not too long either, and definitely recommend. Now I want to talk about a few fantasy books that I would recommend for this time of year. I mostly like to read fantasy in the fall and winter time, but these ones I think are really, really great. This first one is a cozy fantasy, and it is The House in the Cerulean Sea. You can already tell by the cover that this is a very summery read. I've got this one with pretty edges on it. I love so much. It was a Barnes exclusive edition that they had. And this one is about Linus Baker. Linus works for the department in charge of magical youth and is assigned on a job to go to this house that basically serves as like an orphanage for these children, and these children have magic powers of sorts. So this one is just extremely heartwarming and it feels like a warm hug. And then the other fantasy I would recommend, it is a series, but the series is broken down into duologies essentially, where each couple of books are about the same characters or like mainly revolve around the same two characters. So that is The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen and The Traitor Queen. So the world that this takes place in is surrounded by water, and there is a lot of like travel by water. You can see on the second book there's a boat on the cover. I love these covers too. They're so pretty. But I just think because of the setting this is in, it makes it a great time of year to read them. This is about Lara, who is a warrior princess who ends up getting into a arranged marriage of sorts with a king to kind of help overtake their defenses and their land, but it is very action-packed and I love a badass female. Okay, the last two recommendations I have are more in the mystery and thriller categories. First, I have Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. Again, you can kind of look at the cover and see that there is some choppy waters on there, and it is another case of the atmosphere of this book feeling like this is the time of year you should read it. This one's also actually being adapted. So is the next one I'm going to talk about. And this one has a very kind of eerie feel to it. It is the type of book where when you're reading it, you kind of feel like somebody's watching you. It has that feel. I don't know. But this one is about a family who is on this very isolated island. There's really nobody else on the island, but it was once used for research, and one day, this woman washes up on the shore. So the weather on this island is crazy, looks just like the book cover, like just very chaotic and kind of dangerous to be in. So you are going through the mystery of who this woman is, why she's there, etc. The other book in the same sort of category that I would recommend is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This one, they actually started filming the adaptation for on Netflix, and this takes place at a summer camp. It is about Barbara who goes missing, and basically you are following the uncovering of the mystery behind that, and you follow several different characters. It brings you in different people's points of view, friends, family members, and it really does dive into those points of view, so you get to know those characters a little bit more than just surface level. It's just really unique in the way that it was written. I don't think it will be for everyone because it's not super fast paced, but if you are one that likes to get little bits and pieces of a mystery as the book goes on, and you like to feel that sort of like dark looming feeling, then this would be a great one. And I want to go through the books that I would love to prioritize this summer. These are all very fitting for this time of year as well. I can just tell by either the synopsis or the cover. And I have some that aren't necessarily fitting for the season, but that I feel like I want to read very soon. The first is Savor It by Tara DeWitt, and I believe this has fake dating in it, but on the cover it says summer won't last forever. So I feel like I kind of want to read this one towards the end of summer. It's a love story by Annabelle Monaghan that I talked about earlier. This was her release from last year that I never got around to, so I'd like to get to it now if I can. Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage. This is the 4th book of the Rebel Blue Ranch series that I put in my recommendations. Obviously have not read this one just yet, but I feel like this one is one of the more highly rated ones of the series. And I think this is one where the male main character has like yearned for her for years. Gets me so excited. Then we have It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I will say I feel like I'm not the biggest fan of Tessa Bailey's writing just from the books that I have read so far, but I've heard a lot of good things about this one. It's kind of a book talk classic, and I know it's being adapted into a movie, I believe, with Nina Dobrev. She's one of my favorite actresses, so I will definitely be reading this. Then we have Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, another one that I feel like is classic book talk recommendation, but have not gotten around to yet. And I believe this one is like best friends to lovers, and it alternates between then and now timelines. So it does sound right up my alley. Sunburn by Chloe Michelle Howarth. I talked about this in my last video when I put it in my little book haul section. I just recently bought it, but the cover of this makes me want to read it on the beach. The Hotel Nantucket by Ellen Hildebrand. This will be me giving Ellen Hildebrand another shot. I tried to read Golden Girl. I was just bored and did not care and ended up DNFing that book. So I want to see if I have the same experience with this one or not. Her writing just may not be for me, but I definitely want to give it another chance. Another one I had in my last video because I just got it is Into the Blue by Emma Brody. This, from what I understand, is like a sci-fi time travel type of romance. And from everything I've seen, I think I'm going to love it. It seems like it is deeply emotional and is one that could make me cry, possibly 5-star prediction. We shall see. Then I also have The Future Saints by Ashley Winstead, which I got as my book of the month in the beginning of the year, but the palm trees on there really make me think that I should read it sometime soon. I've heard this compared to Daisy Jones and the Six because you're following a band on their rise to fame, but I want to see if I end up liking it as much. And this is one that I have on my 26 books to read in 2026 and definitely thought I would get to in the springtime at some point, but it is now being postponed to summer, and it is And Now Back to You by B.K. Borson. This is the 2nd book of the Heartstrings series, the first being First Time Caller, which I did really love, so definitely want to get around to this one. This is also like one of the prettiest covers ever. Now these next two aren't necessarily summer vibes or summer genres for me, but I figured if I ever wanted to switch it up from the romance heavy reading I'm doing, I will go to these. The first is Starside by Alex Astor, and I have just been seeing so many people read this and love it lately. This is a adult fantasy romance, and the worlds and magic systems seem pretty cool in this. I love the edges on this book. It's one of the reasons I decided to buy it before I truly needed it, because I didn't want to miss out on those edges. And again, I just feel like it's very relevant at the moment with the amount of people I've seen reading it. So I want to jump on that train. You know, I'm nothing if not basic. And then just in case I feel in the mood to cry my eyes out, I will pick up The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is another one on my 26 books to read in 2026, and it's a historical fiction that takes place around war times. I have only seen rave reviews about this book and everybody sobbing while reading it, so sometimes I want that. Am I okay for wanting that? Thank you all for listening to me yap about all of these books that I have read and loved or want to read. If you decide to listen to any of my recommendations, thank you so much for trusting me, and I will see you guys next time. Shit. So yes, my books were very precariously stacked here. And yes, they did just fall down.